Okay.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone who's joining us this afternoon on this live stream. We are very glad to have you here with us today, and I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe in the country despite, everything moving to phase two. So today, Sneha and I actually have Navya with us, who's currently living comfortably in her Ritz-Carlton on her 14-day
Oh
SHN.
my.
So yeah, because Navya is a dancer and she is actually studying in Australia, but she just came back to Singapore, and so right now she's serving her SHN.
Yes, I am.
Yep. So speaking about our film, which we shot when Sneha and I were in Singapore and Navya was actually in Australia. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how the process was like. We had a lot of fun. There were some struggles in creating the short film, but we're just going to go through how it felt. What was it like, the fun stuff, the not so fun stuff, and you'll be able to hear it straight from us, from Sneha, me, and Navya. So right before we jump in and begin, I want to welcome everyone once again on behalf of MadeInSG. So we'd like to thank you for joining us. MadeInSG is a video production company for artists, and we look to tell stories of artists in Singapore. And because we are in phase two right now, we're actually allowed to shoot. So do feel free to drop us a message if you'd like to create, and we can work something out. Um, so to everyone watching right now as well, do feel free to drop all your questions and comments in our live stream comment section, where we will be keeping a lookout and responding to any comments or questions that you may have. And just feel free to keep the conversation going. So before we begin, Navya, would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. As you already know, my name is Navya. So I started dancing when I was about 6 years old. My parents noticed that I was naturally flexible, and they thought it was like a gift, but actually it turned out to be hypermobility syndrome. So what hypermobility syndrome is basically your ligaments and tendons are really, really loose. So you are really flexible, but it also means that when you dance, your muscles don't behave correctly. All the weight is going into your joints, and this causes a lot of injury, pain, fatigue, etc. In extreme cases, it becomes something called EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and you can even get like digestion issues, skin issues, etc., etc. So I think I'm lucky enough to not have EDS. We're not really sure yet. But yeah, I have had a pretty big struggle in my life as a dancer with hypermobility syndrome. But I have been finding ways to basically get stronger and survive with the syndrome while still doing my passion for dance. So yeah,
Thank you, Navya. So,
thank you.
I think before we go into the film itself, which we will be sharing on the live stream, as well as publishing after the live stream on all our socials, so YouTube, Facebook, our website. But I think I just wanted to talk a bit more about our inspiration to even do this, or like how we came about pitching this idea to you, sort of.
Yeah.
I think for Mel and I, we both I think more for Mel, actually. He's more of a dancer compared to me, but I personally enjoy watching a lot of physical theater. I enjoy watching a lot of dance, like shows, concerts, etc. And I think that combined with like our liking for video, or like our passion for video making, we were kind of itching to make something even when we were like stuck indoors, and we thought that you were like the best person to do it with, because we had that level of comfort with you as a friend. For those who don't know, by the way, a bit of background: Navya and I actually used to go to Hindi school together. So we bonded over
Weird times.
yeah, a very we
Very
bonded
close
over,
weird
let's say,
times.
our disapproval. I think I would use disapproval as a word, and our misery, kind of. Kind of like
Divided
we were
us.
friends since then. Yeah. And then later on, Malcolm also became friends with her, so we had that level of comfort and that background, and which allowed us to work together really easily. And not to mention, she's a fantastic dancer and
Oh, thank you.
brilliant in terms of like creativity. She brought so much to the table in terms of inspiration. She helmed so much of this herself, and she created so much of this herself, um, MadeInSG was kind of just a vehicle for her to express her story and what she wanted to tell the world. So I want to preface this entire live and our entire video that we're going to show in a bit by saying that this is Navya's creation. That's how I see it, and that's how Malcolm, we talked about and what we discussed, that this is Navya's creation and Navya's story that we wanted to bring to the forefront. And like every dancer has a unique story, and it's not about just a film about a character, it's about a film on her. So that's why I thought it was really an honor doing this with you.
That is so sweet. But
yeah. Mel, did you have any thoughts? If not, we could.
Actually, yeah, it's actually funny you should say that, because I completely agree that, this whole thing was really much Navya's work. I mean, she did the script, she wrote the script, okay? So she wrote the script, and then she did the choreography as well. She did so much work in recceing the whole area of where to film. And we'll be going a little bit more into that later when we talk about the planning process of this whole project. Okay. I think for us, I agree, Navya gave us a lot of comfort to work with. And it's great because, we wanted to really test out how we can film through Zoom without just using screen record, that kind of thing. So I would say that this was more of a process of us directing through Zoom at 5 a.m. in the morning with really good adrenaline.
Yeah. All three of us had cups of coffee and tea.
We were totally overdosing on that.
I still have one right now. It's 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, but you're in Ritz-Carlton, so you don't get to complain. None of that matters. You're tired? Who cares? You're in the Ritz-Carlton.
That's true.
Yeah. But okay, I think that so what we're going to go through today, we're going to look a little bit at the pre-production process, where we actually planned and storyboarded, and then we're going to go into how the shoot went, right? As we mentioned, we shot at 5 a.m. And then we're actually going to go into talk about how the post-production work actually came about as well. So those are the 3 things that we'll talk about for this video and what made it. And during the whole process, we'll actually be showing the video as well, and scrolling through the various parts of it, such that we can give you a little bit of idea of at which points what we'll be thinking as well. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen right now, and we're going to show you this video that we did. Okay.
How do I describe hypermobility syndrome? Imagine being in a box that gets impacted by the weather. On nice summer days, the box gets warm, happy, and expands. And voila, you have more room to dance. But on cold days, the box gets upset, contracts, and oops, you have less room to dance. Hypermobility syndrome is similar. The box refers to your health and body. On the days your health is good, you can dance more, and on days your health is bad, you can't dance as much. The difference is my box is opaque. You can't see the weather outside, but those with the transparent box can. It operates outside my consciousness, but within others. My space expands and contracts unpredictably. Just like that, my health operates outside of my consciousness. I can't prevent injuries as easily as a normal person. I have to work extra hard, extra strengthening, extra stabilizing work, extra discipline. And honestly, I'm thankful for it. Before this, I was told I would never make it, or confirm dai liao. But dance doctors and physios are doing tons of research on how to make us syndrome-ridden dancers stronger and last longer in the industry. Before I found this way out, I felt trapped. Kind of like how we've all been trapped in this isolation. In isolation, we have limited abilities. We can't do what we want, when we want. Just like how I can't dance how I want, when I want. I have to be creative in my constraints, just like how we've had to be creative in isolation. And of course, just like all of us, I want to come out on the other side, stronger.
Okay, and that was it.
Thank you, Mel. Before we say anything, I just want to say, because on my end, the video was a little choppy and a bit laggy. So I just want to tell everyone that we will be posting these on our social media page after this. So if for any reason it was a bit like off or jerky, you might want to watch it over there after this live is done, and then like revisit the live later on as well.
Yeah, watch it many times. We would really
watch it as many times as you would like. But wow, Navya, good job. I really want to say that like this was done amidst her exams, by the way, her final exams, and you're still having exams,
finals,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, I still have one final assignment left that I'm really struggling to get done in this Ritz-Carlton room, because all I want to do is sleep and enjoy the facilities. But yeah, that essay is worth 50%. It is causing a lot of stress still, and I also have 3 more final exams left after this. So yeah, when a little bit more on that, when Sneha and Malcolm approached me and were like, we would like to publish this by, actually, I think a week earlier, we wanted to do this on the 13th, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I can't do that. But I really thought it was a brilliant idea to publish a dance film via Zoom. And like we said earlier, I've known Sneha and Malcolm for so long and have worked with them here and there. And I just know that they are incredible creatives. And I thought it was very worth making time for this. So yeah, like, even though it was in the midst of my exams, I'm so happy we did this, because it was completely worth it. Like, it was so much fun.
Honestly, I think like even when we were considering everything, like we had publicized that we were gonna go live today and everything, and then I think we were having second thoughts about will we be able to like meet the deadline. And
Yeah.
I think, as always, Navya, I don't understand how she did it, but the amount of dedication that it must take for somebody to do this in the middle of like not only the like actual work that like finals have, but also the mental stress and the pressure. And also, can we just say that she filmed this on the last day that she was in Melbourne, right? That was the last day you were in Melbourne, and then she had a flight to catch the next day, right? That night.
Yeah, it was quite of a crazy experience, actually.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to like, I think it's a good time to jump in and also say that we had Navya's friend with us, Navya's flatmate, who's India, and she was actually really, really helpful in the whole process, because what our original intention was, we ran into some technical issues, so we decided to find some other ways. And so what you saw right now, like, it's a combination of us as directors behind the screen in through Zoom, as well as India's own input as someone holding the camera. And this whole film was actually also shot on an iPhone. So it was very much, we used the iPhone in the brightly lit, windy areas of Melbourne. And I thought that was great, because it allowed us to really, like, from a technical standpoint, it actually allowed us to maintain the quality of the video without actually like compromising or like, forcing us to have more like pixels, like, or pixelated images due to like Zoom. So yeah, that was a really fun experience.
Yeah, I was really thankful. That was when I knew I had a true friend in Melbourne that was willing to get up at 7:05 a.m. to help us film. When we were discussing all the storyboarding the night before, I was wondering, like, we could use a tripod, or we could like put the phone down somewhere and get these shots. But I think having someone behind the camera and getting moving shots would really contribute to how professional the film looks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we really gotta like salute Indy.
Yeah.
Honestly, she was so great to work with. Like we
Yeah.
barely had to give her, like we barely got time to even brief her. So we had this Google Doc where we kind of like put in all our pre-production ideas and our storyboarding. So we had like images of the place that Navya had sent. We have never seen the place like in real life, like Malcolm and I. So we were kind of just like we didn't know how she was going to look relative to the place, like how big she was going to be in the frame, how small she was going to be in the frame. And like Indy really helped us like with the framing. And I think it helps that she, I think, has a natural eye for,
Yeah, she does.
like when I looked at the shots, I was like, I don't have to do much, right? I mean, we didn't have to do much.
It was really much like we just kind of told her the idea and like kind of the feelings that we were going through. So like moving into the whole like pre-production idea, like when we were storyboarding with the photos that Navya had given us, we had to think about what types of feelings did we want for the shot, like what felt right based on the script and based on her voiceover and her choreography. And then we looked a little bit about like how we want to shoot this location, or like how do we want to capture Navya in this location. And very much like once India actually saw, or like we kind of translated to her like this is what we wanted, she was quite independent in providing us with what we needed. So that was really good.
Also, like while we talk about the technical things, I also like wanted to bring up that it was hard to kind of like, with all these technical difficulties, keep the heart of the story at the core of it all. So we were trying not to lose sight of, like, while we were trying to make the framing look good, we were trying not to lose sight of the message or the story that Navya wanted to tell. And I think that's personally like one of my biggest takeaways, that you really can't tell a story if you don't give enough time to like really digest and empathize with the person's background. And so like I just kind of wanted to ask you, Navya, a bit more about this story and what, like, why when we said like tell, like, what is the story you've always wanted to tell, and then this came up, like how did that connection come about?
Yeah, so I think when you guys came to me with the idea of doing a Zoom film, you mentioned that since it is a Zoom film because of the pandemic, do you have anything you want to mention with the pandemic? Immediately my brain just went to connecting being constrained in isolation and being constrained in my syndrome. And sometimes I myself get sick about talking about it because hypermobility syndrome is such a long term. And whenever people are like, oh, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you like doing turns or whatever in like a dance class? I feel so exhausted trying to explain something. And I think doing it this way provided an artistic manner of me being able to express it, because I am a really creative person. And so it can get painful not being able to dance as much as I want, but being able to use the syndrome in order to create art, I think that was kind of like a loophole. And I think that's what inspired me to tell the story, because I could turn it into something positive,
And I think from like what you said in your script, that was really beautifully written, by the way. You did mention that you felt trapped before you kind of found like a way out to this. So I just wanted to like ask you, or like contextualize the timeline in my head. When did you find out that you had this syndrome, and when did you start finding out that okay, things can be done about it and doctors are like doing research on this thing?
Yeah, so I was first briefly just told, oh, your arms and legs are like really long for your age. They make me sound like some kind of octopus. When I was 14 years old. Yeah, and I was just like, they look okay. Yeah, so I was 14 when they just briefly told me that, but they never gave me a specific term and they never emphasized how much it's going to affect me. And then repetitive injuries occurred for the next 3 years from ages 14 to about 17. So at 17, I had a knee injury bad enough to land me in a wheelchair, and I had a new physio who dove deeper into my condition, and I started like kind of being haunted by her voice. And so at the same time, since I was in a wheelchair and everything, I wasn't allowed to dance for like a whole year, do any sports, I just kind of put it in the back of my brain. And then yeah, a year passes. I go back into dance once again, repetitive injuries, ages 18 to 19, more health issues occur. And I think only around age 20 when I really moved to Melbourne. Huh. I started Googling because I was starting to just kind of draw links. I was like, wait a minute, it's been 6 years. Like, this has been happening for the longest time. I've only been briefly told at the age of 17 the name of the syndrome. Everyone would always just tell me, you're not going to make it. Like, your body's going to give up on you. Like, literally the line in the film where I say, you confirm die liao. Like, my instructor said that to me once. And it was absolutely heartbreaking. But so I was just like, I started Googling things. I was like, can you get rid of the syndrome? Can you get stronger? Is there a way to cope with it? And the main gist from Google was that you can't cure it, but you can get strong enough to cope with it. So since the joints are loose, if you stabilize the muscles around it, it can kind of keep things in place. So that's when I think subconsciously, whenever I couldn't do something, like for example, if I couldn't stand on my toes because it was too painful, I would just choreograph something where my toes weren't involved, that kind of stuff. And I started choreographing more of my own stuff. And then I decided to start a dance Instagram. And then I think when I started following just normal dancers at first, I noticed it put a lot of like heaviness in my heart, being able to see them do things that I once could be able to do, but now can't anymore. Like fouettes, chenets, chasseurs, all that stuff. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to find people who are like me. Yeah. And so I unfollowed all these like gifted people. You know, granted, they probably have their difficulties, but you know, social media shows the highlights. So I started following a lot of disabled dancers, people who are in wheelchairs, people who have lost limbs. There's this guy who's paraplegic. He's disabled from the neck down, but he's a really famous dancer in Berlin, and he does it through partner work. And it was so inspirational. I could not believe how many people were in the same shoes as me that have been told you can't make it, but they make it work. And just knowing that so many people feel the same emotions as me, because I think in Singapore especially, you find perfect people on stage, right? You see people who have no injuries, they have all their limbs on stage. Disability representation, let alone racial representation, they don't really exist here. Yeah, so that inspired me more to just go further and further with finding out ways to dance. And then I noticed that so many of these disabled dancers work with dance doctors, and I was like, that's a thing. So I found out dance doctors are physios, basically, that specialize in a dancer's anatomy. And I thought that would be fantastic for me, because I had been working with a physio from age 19 to 20 in Melbourne, but it wasn't doing anything. So I decided to change to a dance doctor, and within 2 weeks I was back up on my toes. So yeah, sorry about the entire long history.
No, this is important.
That is the entire story. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I think to be told that, I think like the words like confirmed diarrhea, like I think it was like just listening to that myself, like it hurt me like secondhand. I was like, no, you know, especially if it's like something you poured, and I've seen how you've poured out your soul, like your heart and soul into dance for years, like ever since I've known you as like my dancer friend, you know. And it's to hear those words, to hear that those words were said to you, like makes me really upset. And but I also think it's really admirable how you kind of turned that around, and like you psyched your own syndrome by saying, you know what, I'm going to use you to like dance. I'm going to use precisely what is limiting me to kind of break free of that limitation. And how you linked that to creativity within constraints that we are all facing right now was absolutely, like, I thought that I would never have thought of that parallel. I just think that that attitude is something that we all can learn from. That, you know, whatever, I mean, it was so like empowering for me to hear. I'm not a dancer, but I am an injury prone person. And I
Yeah.
have also like just gone through a lot of like knee injuries and joint injuries, like my shoulders like messed up. But to hear
That's
that,
another reason we get along really well.
yeah,
And
yeah, I mean, to hear that there's hope is like, I hope like people who watch this later on, or like who are watching this right now, who resonate with this, like listen to that part specifically, because that really encouraged me. Thank you for sharing.
oh, thank you.
Mel, did you have any thoughts or?
Well, I think actually you kind of covered like most of it, to be very honest.
I'm
So
sorry.
what you said-
I'm sorry.
No,
What she
I
said.
completely agree. I think if I had to say one thing, okay, I'm not gonna make it sound like I'm forced to say something, but if I had to say something, I feel like what you said about, like, you know, Singapore not having a lot of representation, and the whole idea of like you will make it or you won't make it. I feel like that's a very Singaporean thing. It's a very like
Yeah.
if you don't meet like a certain benchmark, then like you're considered like not good. You know, like it's so easy to just segregate things into haha, essential, non-essential,
Oh.
will become good, won't become good. Like I think like we kind of need to get out of that mentality and remember that it's a lot about the process, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like it's about finding, you know, I mean, I remember a friend of mine was telling me that dance is all about negotiation, right? You know, it's not just about negotiation with partners, it's about negotiation with yourself. You know, it's like, if I can't do this, then I do that. You know, I just need to
Yeah.
find a way to keep going, right? And I think that, you know, that's something that we should continue to remember.
Absolutely.
And now, you know, especially, you know, I completely agree. It's such an apt parallel to draw with the pandemic, and, you know, with your own experience as a dancer, right? Like, we are all so quick to want to go back to normal, right? I mean, phase 2, and you have people like rushing out at midnight. Yeah, you know.
To eat prata.
Oh.
I cannot get over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
It's
the
that
same
normalcy
idea.
we crave, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I also wanted to actually mention that, like, as happy as I am to have the attitude of I'll still try, it never gets easier, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think like a lot of the time when we see inspirational stories, they're like, oh, like he overcame it and he turned it into something positive. It, like, for me, I guess, I don't know if I can say for other people, you still do sometimes wish that it never happened to you. You know what I mean? And it's a struggle, like every day being like, oh yeah, I'm inspiring people, but like I also kind of just want to do a turn. You know what I mean? But I think that's a journey that I'm on, and it's gonna take practice to get there, and just to appreciate what I can do. You know, we always appreciate what we don't have, but I reckon I'm on the beginning of a journey to just maybe kind of appreciate the abilities that I do have. So yeah.
For sure.
I think what I would like to ask is, you know, if we could kind of just hear a little bit more from you, Navya, of like, you know, when you were creating and choreographing this piece, right? Like, how was that experience for you in terms of creating the dance, and after that, like filming yourself? Okay, not really filming yourself, but like having, like, being filmed for the dance. And
it was so stressful.
Nothing can really replace physical like interaction.
Yeah.
It's like, Zoom is a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, like already just attending classes via Zoom, I wanted to cry. Like, I had this teacher, and it was from 5 to 7 p.m. first of all, that class. It was on a Monday too, and his Zoom kept crashing, so he just kept going in and out of the call, and he came back, and it was a psychology class, and he said like, okay guys, let's go back to discussing like triggers. Let's like talk about this, because that was the topic. And I said, my trigger is when my tutor goes in and out of the Zoom.
Oh my god.
It was just like, I'm so sorry.
Honestly,
Yeah,
though.
so
That being said, thank you, Zoom, for letting us use your platform to do this live. This video was not possible without Zoom.
Yeah, so I think the Zoom part itself kind of stressed me out
Mm-hmm.
because I was just worried about that. I was just worried. I was like, oh my God, what if we go in and out? Like, what if it crashes? Like, how easy is this gonna be? That's one.
Mm-hmm.
Choreographing it, I think, got me slightly stressed as well. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I love
Yeah.
this, but there
Do
were
not.
it stressed me out because there was just so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that entire weekend I just had to find ways to say potentially goodbye to a lot of people because I'm friends with a lot of exchange program people and I'm not sure whether I'll be able to see them again. So there was like a lot of emotional stress over that weekend. And then along with the essay from hell and the finals coming up, there was me finding time for that and scheduling everything. Packing up my room, that was a lot. Dealing with Indian parents about when you're gonna fly during a pandemic, that's a whole other. I think we can make a film on that. That's a whole other experience. That's our next project. And then finally making time to choreograph. It was stressful.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you guys, there's this part of the film where I flail my arms and legs about. That was completely inspired by the amount of stress I was in at that moment. Because I was like kind of just lying on the floor and I was like, what kind of floor work can I do? And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have a seizure because I kind of really need to do that right now.
No, but you know that honestly was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, it
Of
was.
the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Movie. I say it like it's a feature film, but like it was like the favorite. Like when I was editing with Mel, that part was like the part I kind of just like wanted to extend and like just look at for like even longer because it was so real. Like it was so true to what you were saying. Like
Mhm.
I can't prevent injuries as easily as like other people can.
Yeah, the frustration.
The frustration. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to choreographing it, I think my talent lies in lyrics. I do lyrical pieces really well. I've done a past piece on gender, and that was also kind of voiceover based. And Sneha has seen that piece. She came to watch it in person. It's also on my Instagram. If you guys would like to watch it,
Never share with me. Hello.
oh yeah, okay, I'll send it to you later. But yeah,
So good. It's so good.
yeah, all my pieces are really lyric based. So all the things that you see, the choreography, you'll notice that it's literally words just made visible. Yeah, I don't believe in simply doing technique all the way in a choreography. I only really bring technique in when I no longer know what to do. Like if I'll have like a 15-second gap, I'll be like, okay, yeah, let's add in some like allegro, or like let's do some like point work, and then I can show I'm actually trained, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just single-handedly roasted all like dancers who do that
Did
for
I
entire. Yep, you actually did.
Sorry guys.
Navya style.
I
Navya
only do
style.
that
My
when I run out of ideas.
If
Oh
you run
damn.
out of ideas, then I do technique. Yeah.
I think I want to jump in and say that so actually in the whole planning process, right? Like we did the photos, we did the whole like check your video and everything. But I'm gonna say that, you know, like the first day where we were supposed to film, and then like we didn't time it properly. So like it was like sundown in Australia, and then it was getting dark. And like Sneha and I were freaking out because we were like, we need the sun, we need the light. If not, like the iPhone's gonna get grainy and all that. And
Yeah.
then we saw like you were flustered as well. And I think that for us, like, you know, taking that moment to just step back and like to plan even better after that, right?
Yeah.
Because we planned like so much more after that, and then having a really smooth like 3-hour session the next morning. I think that was really good, like really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically for those who are watching, our original plan, we filmed this this week basically on Monday and Tuesday. And our original plan was to start filming on the Monday itself.
Mm-hmm.
but we encountered technical difficulties for majority of the Monday. And then by the time we figured out a way to fix it, the sun had gone down. And I didn't anticipate it because winter has just started in Melbourne. So it was like one of like the first few days the sun had gone down that early, and I was just like, oh no.
We did not think this through.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, this is bad on my part. I have to apologize to my directors.
No, I had a dumb moment as well. I was like, yeah, it should be fine because like it's summer
summertime.
now. I'm like, it's summertime, and I'm like, and then Malcolm was like, Australian summers are not right now, and I was like, oh, then we should film in sunrise, and that's how it ended up being like a 5 a.m.
5
shoot
a.m.
for
Yeah.
us in Singapore, but then 7 a.m. in Melbourne, right?
Yeah. Can I just say I am so inspired by Malcolm's and Sneha's dedication to wake up at 5, because Melbourne is 2 hours ahead, right? Yeah, so I got up at 7 something. It wasn't too big of a deal, but to know that they were up well before the sun was up, and they were just like, I was so touched that not only as friends but as just like professional partners, they were so dedicated to making sure that everything was good, all the conditions were good, and they were willing to get up that early. I was like, oh, we'll work again. 5 out of 5 on Yelp.
Thank you. Yelp reviews.
Yeah,
that's what we do this for.
Yelp.
No, but it was so funny because like Malcolm's average reaction time went from 3 seconds to like a solid 6.5. Like I would be like, hey, do you think we should do it this way? Do you think the framing's all right? And he'll be like, this is like actual footage of him on Zoom, okay? He goes, huh? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Wait, let me just check. Yeah, actually, like it was quite.
So not a morning.
Your voice was different. You were just like, can you send it again?
He is not a morning person at all, to say the least. Yeah, but anyway, like I think like just like going into detail about the filming process itself, how we did it technically. The original plan was to do screen mirroring via Zoom. So there's actually an option, and I'm not sure if Malcolm, you want to show this now. Actually,
I could.
I mean, I like there's an option when you share a screen, you can actually share it to your iPhone via AirPlay, and then the people who are in the Zoom call can see on their screen the framing through the phone.
Correct.
So that was the original idea, and we were going to film it through that, and then direct Navya to put her phone like wherever and frame her, and then start dancing so that we would be able to see it. But then that didn't work out because of like the screen mirroring difficulties. Yeah.
Can I just say, Monash University, Australia, fix your Wi-Fi.
This is a public service announcement. Fix your damn Wi-Fi.
We spent so long trying to get the AirPlay to work.
Yeah. But in hindsight, we used we still took the time to like plan even better, right? So
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that was true working in the constraints.
Malcolm, do you wanna... Actually, yeah. Wait, this is so meta because like our entire film was creativity within the constraints. You're so right. Yeah. Wait, Malcolm, do you want to tell them a bit more about like, because the screen mirroring didn't work, like what we did to make it work and all the solutions you came up with, by the way, at 5, was it 5 in the morning? No, it was the previous day.
No, it was the previous day. Yeah. What did I do?
You just suddenly
tried like QuickTime.
Well, we were like trying like QuickTime. We were trying like a power mirror.
Oh
we
my
were trying USB cable, epoch camera, like literally every single solution out there was tried.
It was hilarious.
But I think that if it didn't work, it didn't work, right? And I think that like it's fine in the sense that we found a workaround for it. You know, like the thing still stayed the same. We directed it through Zoom. We were able to like see what Navya was doing. We were able to see what India was doing. We could like give comments through Zoom and like through Navya's laptop, right? And then I guess that there's just more steps that were in play right? And there's a little bit like longer, but at the same time, I mean, looking at it
worked out
now, I
really
think it's fine.
well.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah. We did
Yeah.
it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. So okay, like let's go a little bit into the shooting process, okay? Like the shooting process. I'm so sorry. Okay, so the shooting process was us at 5 a.m., Navya at 7, right? India would take a photo on Navya's phone. They would send that photo to us through Telegram. And then we'll be like, yeah, okay, can you move the framing a little bit to the left? Can you move it a little bit to the right? Can you make Navya's head like in between the two trees? Things like that. It's not fun to direct over Zoom, man.
It's not fun, but you know, the result turned out to be way better than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
everyone like cooperated really well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
The worst part would be like Navya take like 2 steps to your left, and then
And I'll be
suddenly like I'm like, no, the other left.
because I think it's flipped, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
on
yeah,
Zoom.
yeah. It's flipped.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Also
Wow.
something
You were saying something.
oh, sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was saying, Navya, you were saying something, so like just go ahead.
The sunlight. Because when we got up and started filming, the sun was starting to rise.
Mm-hmm.
And as we moved around the campus, we would be like, okay, do we wait 10 more minutes? Then like the sun will be at the perfect angle for this particular one shot. And for those, since they were directing over Zoom and we were filming on the phone, I actually had them on my laptop and I was carrying them around like some kind of sacred, like,
Right. You would be like, okay, do you like this angle? And they're like, yes, this angle. They'll be like, okay. Now, India, come here. This angle.
So stand right here.
Stand right here. Get this frame. That was a real nightmare.
We got a lot of funny stares because people were like walking their dogs early in the morning and they just saw these two girls like running around with a laptop.
Oh my goodness. Like early in the morning. Right. It was 7 a.m. They must be like, what are they doing? I think the funniest part about this entire filming process was that when we storyboarded, when we sat down to storyboard everything, we actually had intended for half of the film to be indoors and half of the film to be outdoors.
Right.
So on that morning, that sunrise morning, we were out trying to get like the good lighting for the outdoor shots. And then the next day, when she would have come back to Singapore, because remember that while all of this is happening, day 1 of filming is in Melbourne and day 2 is in Singapore. So we were like, yeah, when you get your janky like stay at home hotel, like we're gonna get all those like isolated quarantine shots and like we can zoom in. And then this girl, she reached her hotel, she's like, can I FaceTime you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then she FaceTimed me and she's like, I'm at the Ritz-Carlton. And I'm like, wait, what?
Should I show everyone the view from my room right now?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and show them the bathtub too if that's not too invasive.
Sure. All right.
This is free advertisement at Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah. All right. So it's a bit of a mess, but so that is the entrance. I also have a walk-in. I have a giant bed.
Oh my gosh.
have
A sofa.
This like couch area. I have a TV, and I have a view of the entire Singapore skyline.
Oh my goodness. This was a big slap to our face because one of the shots we had wanted to take was like a pan, like what do you call it?
Like a pan out from the
from like the window to show like, oh, like I've been trapped inside this entire time, and being outside was just like in my imagination, and we just imagined like.
And it is really different because in the original idea we had, right, like from Navya's room in Monash, like it was a green like grass field, but at the same time, it was the car park and the grass.
Yeah, it was very residential.
Right? It was very residential. It was very like bleak and cloudy and dark. And here you have like the nice Singapore skyline. We kind of felt like that wasn't like fitting anymore. So yeah.
Like, can you imagine me saying I'm trapped while looking at the Singapore skyline? I was like,
sitting
guys,
in your bathtub.
Yeah, I'm waiting for like there's just the curtain opening at the
Oh. God.
this became a live room tour real quick.
Yeah, it did. Okay, I'll show you guys the shower first. There's like a rain shower and a normal shower.
Oh
I've
my
also
God.
got a mirror in the toilet to just watch myself do my business.
Oh my, we love that.
Wow.
Yeah,
We
we
really
do.
do.
Wow. So elaborate.
And then yeah, I have the bathtub with the same view.
Mm.
Yeah, trapped indeed.
I was like,
Such
I
constraint.
called Sneha and I was like, hey, remember the indoor shots that was supposed to make me feel trapped? I was like,
I
I
don't
don't
think we can do that anymore.
think it's gonna work.
Yeah. So like we had to like, which brings us to kind of like the post-production process where we
Yeah.
had essentially half the footage that we wanted to work with, right?
Mhm.
So now that we had half of the films, half of the locations that not half of the locations, but like half of the footage, like essentially, it was hard to kind of spread out the footage such that it still conveyed that sense of isolation
Yeah.
in such a vast space, because she was dancing in spaces like open like grass spaces or against a white wall, and white gives a really like spacious feel, like a really like vast feel, and it was challenging, but I think we made it work. That was interesting.
Yeah.
How we did that.
Yeah. I think for the post-production work, we had to rely a lot on like Navya's words, which were really powerful to kind of drive the story, and we had to use that together with like putting the clips together to try and see how we want to show her like coming to terms with like herself, and like kind of finding workarounds in that sense. So it was a really interesting process, and I think that if we do want to go into the whole post-production process, so Sneha and I, we are editing on Final Cut Pro, right? And it was quite crazy because we would share screen, and then we would give each other like screen remote control, right, such that she could control my screen and I could control hers, and just so we could kind of tell each other what we wanted. Because if you think about it, right, it's so difficult to convey your ideas through Zoom sometimes. It's like, I want this one like a little bit faster. It's like the feeling is just so different. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I didn't even know about the remote control access
I didn't know you could do that until right now.
Yeah, no, like literally I was sharing my screen and my like the Final Cut, and Malcolm was like, okay, so you need to like trim this transition a bit, and I was like, oh, this transition. He's like, no, the other one. Then I'm like, okay, so like how do I do that? He's like, okay, go to this and go to file, and I'm like, which file? He's like,
where I go
there, right, and I'm like, right. He's like, no, that's right, and it was a nightmare. He was like, you know what? He was like, can you do you mind giving me like remote control access? And I was like, nah. I was like, what? I was so confused. He's like, no, go to your Zoom and then press the remote control and say give access. And then I saw my cursor moving on its own. It was freaky. Like, he was basically like, he can do anything on my laptop if I give him access to it, which is kind of invasive, but really helpful when you're working on projects together. So for everyone who didn't know you can do that, this is a game changer. It made our workflow so much easier.
I'm gonna jump in right now and also say that. So I like Sneha and I actually found a way to connect, like in the same idea, right? So I connected my DSLR, my Nikon D750, to my laptop, and then I shared screen, and Sneha could control my camera from wherever she was. So I could do like what I wanted with like the black backdrop that I had, and she could like adjust the focusing points, adjust the setting. It was really cool.
Insane.
It's
really
like,
cool. The what is it called in the camera? Is it viewfinder?
Live view?
Like the screen.
Yeah.
The screen.
Yeah, live
Is
view.
that the view? Oh, okay, the live view. Like, so on the Canon, the camera that I have, you can actually touch the screen and you can just press the buttons and it'll shoot. So it was literally like doing that, but on my laptop.
Yeah.
So there was like a record button. There was you can adjust the focus. Everywhere you tap, the camera focuses. I was essentially controlling a DSLR that was like how many km away? 20 km away.
20, I guess.
20 km away from me through my laptop, and I was like, man, as much as we like hate on Zoom and sometimes its connectivity, I
It's
think
pretty
like
freaky and good, actually.
Yeah.
technology has allowed us to do this, and that's actually amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
I, mm.
crazy.
I think I want to jump in and say that like Sneha and I were working on this for like about 3 days or so. But during those 3 days, both of us had various shoots and work outside to do. So
Yeah.
we didn't manage to like, like edit the video all day, And I think for us, like we only managed to give it like to get the final edition to you like last night, right?
Yeah.
Like were you like, no, I'm just curious, Navya, like were you like confused? Were you like, how's it gonna turn out?
Oh no, I was just
Our live stream is tomorrow, Malcolm. What's happening?
I was
I had the same question. Like, what did you expect of the film, and how is it different?
Yeah. And is it like authentic to you? In that sense.
okay.
And don't sugarcoat anything. This is like just roast us, so we're ready.
Yeah, no
We're
worries.
on our skewers.
I had super low expectations, not because of you both, but just because of the fact that we did this through Zoom. I was
Excuse me.
Okay, right click, remove.
I was like, Zoom, it's okay. It's the first time we're the three of us are working together. It's okay if I don't like it. Just live and learn. You know what I mean? I always tell myself, hope for the best and expect the worst. But of course, I was also just like, we're all good friends. I want this to turn out so well. And like, I really like their artistry and I feel like it might turn out well. So it was just like this battle in between my head, between like the angel and the devil, I think I was just really excited to see what you guys had made, because after the filming went so well on Tuesday, I just had a good gut feeling. And I was just like, yeah, this should be fine. And my favorite part was when Sneha sent me the final edit and I liked it, and then Malcolm roasted her.
Oh my God.
I didn't roast her. Okay. So I wanna say that Sneha did Sneha did almost all the editing work for like the final edits and everything. We came together and we discussed like how we wanted it to be. We followed the storyboard in the sense of like how we wanted the process to go. But Sneha did like the editing for the full video, and I think she deserves a lot of credit for that, because like, it really is good work, and I think that like when she sent the cut to Navya, like it was fine. Like I didn't roast her. I didn't. Okay, I just said I don't like this. Yeah.
No, so he went. I mean, no, I'm used to it though. Like that's just how we work, right? So because like we've reached a point where like we know that it's not that we hate each other's work. It's more like, okay, yeah, I liked it, but like I'm gonna tell you all the
like
things
this
that
can be
you can get better. And so like that's just how we work. And no, but it was just so funny because we have a Telegram chat with Navya, and I had sent it like immediately, and Malcolm is like, he downloads things like immediately when you send it to him, and he's just quick at doing things in general. So like he, right as Navya said, oh, I like it so much, and then with like a happy face, like in the next second, Malcolm goes, I like it, but then he started listing down in points, like all the points that I just thought it was so funny. I was like, yeah,
I want to say that
he's
like,
roasting me. So
the reason why we didn't have like any major changes or things like that is because I mean we planned everything really well in the storyboard. Like we had the same idea, right? And like we kind of knew where we were going to. So like all these small minute details that were coming up were like, font size, like I don't really like this font, like I don't really like that transition. Do you think maybe we could like make this part louder so I can hear Navya a little bit more? So it's all very much like more just cleaning up, you know what I mean?
Final touches.
So, final touches. But I think that goes to show how important the planning process was. And it's good that even despite us not being able to communicate like in person and like have to telecommute and find ways to explain things to each other. I think that was a really good one.
I had a question for Navya, real quick. That do you want to talk a bit more about the title of the film? I realized we haven't introduced the title of the film. I mean, it was there at the end of the credits, but we didn't actually address it. So maybe you could talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, we just like quickly started shooting names last night, being like, oh wait, We need a title.
Until now, it was Zoom dance film.
Yeah. And
A
then,
very unglamorous title.
yeah, and I just thought of trapped maybe, but I think Malcolm felt like it was a bit too literal, which like I already anticipated. I was just like, yeah, it's a bit predictable. And then Sneha like
Started name dropping, and
yeah,
then she said,
yeah.
yeah.
Name dropping.
Name
But yeah,
drop.
one of the ones she came up with was creative constraints. So I really liked that one because it had more of a positive connotation to it, which is something like I was saying earlier. I'm trying to develop a more positive attitude with like just my situation. So, and I think it would also like bring in more views because I think it like would kind of ties to the pandemic a bit more. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it.
I think like that last part of the post production, like the final part of post production, which was the selection of the title. Also, okay, just a quick time check. We have about 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna like wrap up real quick. But I just want to say this thing that in the final stage of the post production, it was made crystal clear to me like what the focus of the narrative was. And I think during and this is like speaking directly to you, Navya, that I only truly appreciated your choreography and your words and your scripting when like I had to hear it over and over and over when I was like editing with Malcolm. And I think like I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure Malcolm agrees that your words were so powerful that I mean, I've low-key memorized the script because of the number of times I've had to listen to it. But I mean, in doing that, it had such a powerful effect on me that every time I felt that I was limited by something, you know, like it's kind of hopeful to me that I hear your voice ringing in my head, and I thought that was really powerful. And also, yeah, so no, I mean, like I'm like not even just saying that, and like for real, even while trying to match the lyrics to the movement was when I could truly see like, oh, the movement is literally like expressing what the words are saying. And then when it all came together, I was like, that is beautiful. I was like, this choreography to that voiceover. And I really like that you don't use like superfluous technique and just throw it in there like, look at me, I can do 5 pirouettes. Like I really like that. I really like that your movements are so real and so
genuine and
married to the words. What
That's
do you call it? Lyrical?
Because like I feel fake when I have to because I'm like, oh, I would love to do 5 pirouettes, but I literally can't. So I'm like, I'm just gonna match the words. You know, but to hear that it has the opposite effect on other people, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Also, like what you guys said about you feeling like this project was mostly me, it's funny because I feel the entirely opposite way. I'm just like, yeah, I did the choreography and the dancing, which is, you know, like part of it. But you guys are the ones who, because of the time difference, first of all, you guys had to wake up way earlier. And you guys had to think of the technical aspect way before even we encountered all the difficulties. And even after the difficulties, you guys thought of a new way. And then afterwards, you still had to edit. Whereas I was just kind of like, okay, great, my job's done. You know what
Time to do my essay.
Yeah.
I mean, we needed substance to edit, right? Like we couldn't have done. I mean, that's really nice to hear as well. Like to think that okay, that this project there was like involvement on our part as well, and it feels like something we did together. Like it really feels like a collaborative effort. It doesn't feel like lopsided in any way.
Yeah. At first I was like actually like slightly terrified of working with you guys because like the amount of respect I have for you both is just astronomical. Like I've been watching Malcolm and Sneha do theater since they were like what 17, and I just think that they're amazing, like the training that they've had. And then I'm just here just like, hi there. But then like and also I was just worried about combining friendship with work. But I think that was like my bigger concern because they've watched me perform a lot, and like and I know they're really honest, and the feedback that they have given me has been like really constructive. So I wasn't as insecure in that. I was just more worried about the friendship and work. And it just ended up being so fun because they are so like easygoing during the filming process. Like throughout this live stream, like we've been cracking jokes and whatnot. Like that was exactly how the filming was going as well. And I think that's something that really helped me and brought down my stress levels as well. So I really want to thank you guys for that, for just making me laugh the entire time. I think that was really
I think, yeah. I think in closing, I would like to say that like this project was very much Navya's story, and also like Sneha's and mine and MadeInSG's journey. You know, it's about like how we kind of came together, and despite all the technical setbacks that we had, we kind of pushed through and found ways to work things out. And I think that, you know, that was really amazing on all our parts. Yeah. So
Thank you for working with us,
thank you for working
Navya.
with Navya.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers
We hope
with my empty
everyone
glass.
had a good time listening to us today and listening to a little bit more about Navya's story. So we will be posting all these things up online, so you can actually go and check it out. And at the same time, we'll also be tagging Navya, so you can go and check out her Instagram and her own socials. And since Navya is going to be enjoying her time in, you know, the Ritz-Carlton, we do hope to see perhaps more work from her, more creative work from her in her room.
I'll do more room tours. Yes. What's up, Sneha?
Quick comment. Do go to Navya's socials that we will be posting, because personally I saw like recently you posted something like a choreography, just an upper body choreography. I thought that was really cool. I would check that out if I were you.
I decided to post that just kind of as a disability friendly kind of thing for those who are either injured in their legs or in wheelchairs. So like if anyone is like that right now, you can go and learn that piece. Just get some exercise in. Yeah.
So
thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you all soon again. Enjoy phase 2. Stay safe, everyone. Try not
don't go too crazy.
Don't go too crazy. Okay. Say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we stop.